Welcome to Share Talk, the only podcast where investors come first.
Hello and welcome to Share Talk, where I'm joined by Gaz Bisht, who is Executive Director at Empyrean Energy. How are you today, Gaz?
Yeah, I'm good, Jack.
Right, so the first question. Gaffney and Cline have confirmed your internal estimates for Block 2911, which you fully own. The potential seems quite transformational for Empyrean. Can you talk us through the findings?
Yeah, sure, Zach. Gaffney Cline was the last step in the entire process of Block 2911 work Empyrean and its team has done. Going back to 2016, when we were awarded this block, we systematically went about addressing the subsurface risk and price in terms of the size of the prospect. And in that sequence, if you recall, what we did was, we acquired a large 3D survey between May and September in 2017. Then we focused on processing it to the best quality, and we worked very closely with the processor up in China. And what ended up through that, detailed involvement with them was the data quality was absolutely excellent. The reason I'm giving you this background is that once you have a high quality data set, your geological risk, your trap risk reduces to quite low or minimum. And that is where the Gaffney Cline work comes into place. So if you recall, we did our own internal assessment between January till June, and we did announce that to the market. And we, of course, used our own consulting staff here in Sydney, and I oversaw the project myself. And once that work was done, then we involved Gaffney Cline to do the what is known as audit of the work we have done. So once we received that report last week, and it was quite pleasing from that point of view that they not only came quite close to our assessment and slightly higher in a way, but importantly, the geological risk those guys have assigned to our prospects are quite low. For example, Jade has 32% chance of success. Topaz has 30% chance of success. Pearl has, of course, 15 because it's sitting on a rather compromised position for receiving the oil charge from the south. So the point is, Gaffney Cline has not only given us the confidence in our project, but they have also given us a sense about the geological risk on this prospect. When you combine the size of these prospects and the geological risk, by any yardstick, these are the world-class large prospect which are almost drill ready. Right. And so that's the background to Gaffney Cline work on this project.
And what are the next steps for Block 2911 after the PSC you entered into last month?
Yeah, so just by way of background, we Empyrean being a smaller company, CNOOC normally works with larger companies like BP and BHP size. But with us, they agreed to give us this large prospective block, and the deal back then was show us your commitment, both financially and your technical commitment to this block, and which we have done. So what we did in October was approach the CNOOC and said, look, we have met all the commitments, both financial commitment as well as the work program commitment on this block. And we are ready to move forward to signing of the PSC, which is a critical step in this entire process, because by signing this PSC in October, what we have done now, we have secured this block for the shareholders for 2.5 years. And even if we sign that in October, and that again is a sign of confidence CNOOC has on us, the PSC doesn't kick off till 13th of December, which is next month, because the first phase, which was the GSA or geophysical service agreement will end on 12th of December. 30th of December will be the PSC kicking off, and from that point, within the 2.5 years, we have to drill first well. So that was the background, and coming back to what our plans on as a next step in this block is, we post Christmas we want to set up an office in China, which will be purely a drilling focused a small office where we will be recruiting key people for drilling expertise and procurement expertise, and of course geoscience expertise we will be providing via CNOC. So that is the immediate first step, and we have a target for doing that by first quarter or early second quarter next year. Once that office is set up there, we will start to invite drilling bids to drill one of the wells, and we will be working on that in that process quite actively. So that's in terms of the operationally what we want to do on this block. And second part of the activity that will happen, and that is happening in fact, is trying to see if we can put together a JV for this block. And that will become a critical part of work going forward. But remember, we have 2.5 years of time frame to drill the first well on this block.
Right. I mean, just can you go? I mean, you've got other projects in Indonesia and California. Can you just touch on those as well, please?
Yes, I mean, those projects are quite important to Empyrean and its shareholders, because what they do, in a mix with China project is they provide a different fiscal regime. They expose the company to a different fiscal regime, and in fact, in Indonesia and California, in both the project, we have gas play rather than oil play in China. So it's a perfect match for a commodity point of view. So in Indonesia and California, we are playing gas. In China, it's oil story. And if you recall, we have made quite a progress in Indonesia from the moment we entered there in last March or April, that was. And we have made a discovery. We have done all the work with our joint venture or the operator there called Conrad Petroleum. Where we are sitting at the moment is that we have submitted a POD to the government. We hope to get that approved by Christmas this year. Once that happens, again, we are securing that particular project, the gas project there, for the shareholders for up to 2037. And that is the period where this gas will be produced through the existing pipeline that supplies gas to the Singapore. So that's on the Mako oil gas discovery we made in last April till June, I think. At the same time, what is happening is that there is existing 2D data set that was reprocessed, that was fully interpreted, and what came out of that is a very nice large prospect called Mako Deep. And interestingly, that prospect sits immediately below the Mako shallow gas field. So what the plan is going forward in twofold. One, secure the POD approval from the government by Christmas, and do some little bit of more work on this Mako Deep, so that by next year, third quarter or fourth quarter, we will be able to drill an appraisal well on Mako discovery, which will be deepened to target this exploration well. So in a way, the appraisal well will be a free test for the deeper Mako Deep prospectivity there. And if that comes good, there are 3 other prospects in the same geological formation in and around Mako shallow or gas discovery that could change the game there quite drastically. So that is what is happening in Indonesia. In California, if you recall, we drilled a well, Dempsey 115, last year, and we did a quite extensive testing of the program. We are flowing a small amount of gas into the system there. But at the same time, if you recall, we went to California on the back of 2 projects. First project was Dempsey, which we have drilled and producing gas into the system. But there was an equally important appraisal project there called Alvarez. So the focus now has moved to Alvarez in regard to what can be done with that project. So Alvarez is a old well drilled in 1982, and it had a gas column of over, if I can recall correctly, over 150 meter oil gas column there. So what is happening on that particular project at the moment is that we are trying to prepare a site where the well is located, and the plan is to re-enter the well bore between November to May next year, because remember, this is a wet season in California, so we will be a little bit handicapped by the weather conditions there. But whenever we get a window, we will do this surface operation so that a drill site is prepared there. We will, when the weather improves, possibly around March next year, we will try and enter into this well, which was drilled in 1982, to test the casing integrity. If the casing integrity is good, we will log it and identify the zone that will be tested in that particular well. Remember, the logging will be done across that gas-bearing formation to identify a prospective zone which can be tested. So that is quite exciting from Alvarez point of view. At the same time, along the Dempsey trend, now that we have a full data set acquired in Dempsey 115, we are using that data set to analyze another exciting project in that, what they call in geology, play fairway, and we will be assessing the quality of that prospect while the work in Alvarez is happening. So it's a mix of operational activity in Alvarez versus subsurface work happening around Dempsey Trend in California. So that's just a quick summary of what's happening in remaining two projects with us.
Right, and obviously you touched on a lot of things there. What for you are the highlights of what's coming through for at Empyrean, for shareholders over the next the short term?
Yeah, I think the first thing will be to get the POD approved by the Indonesian government. That, as I said, we are expecting it to be around Christmas, if not early next year. So that will be a critical, important phase. So that is one piece of information. Second thing, which, as I said, around March or thereabout, we will know how good the existing casing in Alvarez well in California is. And of course, the third will be if we can commence our program to JV this particular project. So those are the key piece of exciting news that will come through to the market in coming 2 quarters from our point of view.
Well, we look forward to that. Gaz Bisht, Executive Director at Empyrean Energy, thank you very much indeed.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.